It's back, ladies and gentlemen. The Real Life Racing series returns for hopefully another full season of racing action. This video is brought to you by the previous episodes of my Real Life Racing series. It's great to have it finally be back, but if you want to catch up on my racing exploits so far, use the link in the description for the full backstory. So, hello everyone and welcome back to the Real Life Racing series, and I can't quite believe that I'm saying that, honestly. We're going to talk about plenty of stuff in this video, but for the first part of it, I want you to know that this is super rusty and probably some of the worst driving I think I've ever done in a kart around this track, because I'm in the completely wrong place for the first couple of corners off the start, and I end up dropping from the 16th place that I qualified to almost complete last in 22nd place out of 24. Obviously, as you can see, there's the position counter in the top left, the lap counter in the top right, and then the lap times will also appear on the right hand side after every lap as well, just like we used to have, but with some updated fonts and things like that. Now, one thing I will mention before we also get into it is sorry for the bounciness in some parts of the track. It is some camera limitations that we'll talk about during the video. It should get slightly better for future episodes, which will be at 60 FPS rather than the 30 FPS here, and I do think your eyes do adjust to it, but I do understand if it's a little bit too much for people to watch, but I'm hoping that people will give the first few episodes a chance at least, because it is the best series on the channel and I'm so happy to have it back. We're going to watch this first race in full because we have a nice little comeback from that initial 22nd place drop, and I'll talk about where the series has been after, you know, and the reason why I even had a rusty start to this race in the first place, because it's not as if I've been able to do this regularly, and I guess I could have done off camera, but once we had the 2014 and 2015 Real Life Racing series, for anyone who hasn't watched those series, please go back and watch them. They will be linked in the description. You'll be able to check them out. I've actually amalgamated all the series together, so it's just the Real Life Racing series now, but we still have individual unlisted playlists for each year. So with the 2014, 2015 and then 2018 series. And yeah, there's some of the best videos on my channel. I have some incredible moments, some incredible races, you know, in real life around this track, you know, karting and some other tracks as well. And yeah, they were always deemed to be the best series on the channel, the Real Life Racing stuff, and it's been missed. And considering I was doing this back in 2014, it's been a long time that, you know, I've been able to do it properly full time at least. So where did it go? You know, we had if you've watched the Real Life Racing series, you will know because I explained it at the time, but for those who are new, basically I did this in 2014. I did a full season. I had a GoPro on the top of my helmet, and it's actually a little bit of a better view than what you're seeing now, but again, I'll explain why we can't have that these days. And then I did the 2015 series as well. The 2014 was kind of, I was somewhat competitive, and then 2015 I started to get, you know, quite competitive as well, and I was racing at the front and having a lot of good races and getting some wins and fighting for championships, at least in this hire kart championship in the northeast of England around this one track once a month. But during the mid part of the 2015 series, basically GoPros or any other externally attached cameras were banned. First it was cameras weren't able to be attached to the helmet, so I couldn't continue putting the GoPro on the top of my helmet anymore. Then it was cameras can't even be attached to the kart, which was sort of the next step that I tried. So the last few episodes of that 2015 series ended up being just like the camera mounted at one part of the track, and I had to just kind of give a little bit of a roundup of the races that happened, and it was a real shame, and I was really disappointed because this was one of my favorite series to, you know, record and talk about and put out there in terms of videos, and just to do as well, you know, to actually do the racing. And yeah, it was a shame. We obviously came back for 2018 where I dabbled in looking at what it would take to race in real life in terms of car racing, but it didn't work out because it was way too expensive. And then there was one point in 2019 where I thought GoPros were going to be allowed again at the track, and then they weren't. So that was why there was a one-off video at the end of the 2018 series that talks about that, but then they were quickly banned again. So why are we back? How are we even here in the first place? Well, it's mainly to do with the fact that I found a new type of camera. It's called the Cambox, and it goes inside the helmet itself. So you're pretty much getting, and you sometimes, based on the location of the sun, you can actually see a reflection of my face in the visor. But it goes inside the helmet itself, and before I bought it, I emailed the track. They had a discussion with the owners and all that kind of stuff to see if this would be allowed. Obviously the main problem is, from a safety perspective, kart tracks don't want GoPros on helmets because it can cause problems with the integrity of the helmet itself. That I understand. Obviously they can't attach them to the karts either because they might fall off. So this, I thought maybe it would be allowed if I can, contact them and see. They gave me the all clear, so I've got this camera inside my helmet. Now, it's not as good as a GoPro, certainly not as good as modern GoPros in terms of image stabilization and image quality and things like that. But I think it's good enough. You're getting to see what I'm doing. Like, I managed to get a better run out of the chicane there to get up the inside here, and he goes a bit wide, so I'm able to get another position up into 19th. And you can see what's happening. And next week's episode, which is going to be the first round of the championship, so this footage is from the final round of last season's championship, and I just wanted to sort of go and test it out, but that's why I was super rusty. And then it does have a 60 FPS mode, so I'm going to be putting that on, and it does make it a little bit better. And although you don't get the same experience of the height of a GoPro on the top of a helmet, I think really helped in terms of giving a wider field of view as well of what was happening. By the way, the guy who I overtook earlier on, he just rammed me up the back there, so yeah, that wasn't the best start. But yeah, I managed to keep the position nevertheless, but it wasn't the greatest there. Just constantly getting hit. But yeah, it's also foreshadowing a little bit that for what happens later on in the race. But yeah, I found this helmet, I tried it out, it seems to work pretty well. I think it works well enough. Yes, the bounciness is a little bit of a problem, but I'm going to be hopefully mitigating that as best I can. It's never going to be as good as what a GoPro could do, but a GoPro isn't an option. I can't attach it anywhere to the kart, anywhere to my person, anywhere to the helmet. This is pretty much the only option I have. And if I have to choose between not doing the real life racing series at all or doing this, I'm going to choose this every day of the week. So I hope you guys are enjoying. As you can see, the lap times are on the right hand side as well. That's, again, this is the same as what I used to do back in 2014 and 2015. You have all the information that you need about the race and how it's going, and how my little comeback is coming along, I suppose, at the moment. And when it comes to this first race, you can you can sort of see visually, but also it's borne out with the lap times that you see on the right, that the rust just gradually comes off me as time goes on. Every single lap I get quicker and quicker and quicker. The racing sort of instincts are still there, and I'm able to make some overtakes, as you've seen already. But I just, I gradually come into it, and this is that first race after being, not there for a long time. Yeah, foreshadowing. I told you there was some foreshadowing. Same guy again who I overtook before, who rammed me in the back earlier on in the lap. He just basically launches into the side of me and gets the position. Thankfully, though, he actually ends up getting a black flag. He doesn't see it immediately, but he does in a couple of laps' time. And it seems like they're actually focusing a lot more on that, because I wasn't the only one who this guy kind of gets a bit aggressive with in terms of his overtakes and hits people and things like that. So yeah, one of the main problems that I was experiencing during the 2014 and 2015 series of racing here is that the sort of the racing standards weren't upheld very well. But it seems like since I've come back, and it's been almost 10 years since that's happened, they actually penalize people for doing bad stuff, because he's going to get the black flag at some point, and you'll see it when it happens. So yeah, that's something that I'm happy about, and I'm hopeful for when it comes to the future races and racing for the entire season. I get a nice little overtake here, by the way, to get up into 19th place again, and you might have noticed there that there was a little bit of a cut in the footage. That's because there's a limitation on the camera of how much you can the video clip, how long that can be. for this one it was 5 minutes, for the next one it's going to be 10 minutes, so there's only going to be sort of one cut, but we lose like 1 or 2 seconds of footage. But again, that'll probably be minimized for any future rounds. Again, this first one is kind of all about testing stuff and getting back into the swing of things, not only in the racing but also in terms of the camera and recording and getting all the right settings and things like that. Thankfully it was a nice day for it, as you can see, quite sunny. So yeah, for the first time since, I think it was obviously the 2015 series was the sort of the last year where I raced around this track in the sort of hire kart championship that they have, that runs every once a month for 9 months as it is right now. There's 2 races every month, but 2015 was the last time that I raced in this championship full time, because you know, when the camera ban came in, I just kind of lost the desire to do it. Nice little move up the inside there as well, I've just remembered about. But yeah, that's me up into 18th, and I think this might be where the guy ends up finally seeing that he got a black flag. Oh yeah, there it is. So I get up straight away into 17th as well, which fair enough, I think. But yeah, it's been a while, and it's kind of crazy to think how long it's actually been. I didn't realize that it had been so long since I was racing here. And it's nice to be back. It's nice to be doing it again, and it's going to take a bit of time to get back into the swing of things and get my lap times down and all that kind of stuff. But with the progress that I've made just in this first race, I don't think it's going to take too long. But you know, you guys will see the sort of progress that I make, and trying to get back to sort of racing at the front like I used to. Hopefully I can, maybe I can't, I don't know, we'll have to see. Obviously, again, all the same caveats as the old series. They are hire karts, so every kart is going to be a little bit different, and you know, you can't guarantee. Sometimes you might just be in a slow kart, sometimes you'll be in a quick kart, and it's all just down to luck. But you know, I'm just going to have some fun with it, and these last 2 laps in particular, well, certainly, in fact, as soon as I got into a bit of free air in this race, you notice that my lap time on the right there, it improved drastically. You know, I've gone from 1 minute 11s to sort of mid 1 minute 10s, but again, that was racing with people and overtaking and things like that. And as soon as I get into some free air, I'm doing a 1 minute 10 flat, so I've improved by another half a second, and I was quite far behind this guy in front, as you saw when I, you know, got up into 17th place, and we're catching up very, very quickly, and I think it's showcasing how that rust sort of comes off. You know, you've got all of this knowledge and all of this previous experience, and it's just a case of tapping back into it. But you can't just do it immediately. You've got to get out there, you've got to get racing with people, you've got to get driving the kart around the track, and it's only when you do that that sort of knowledge comes back again, and you're able to access it. And there's still plenty of more that I can do with that, and we're going to see that throughout the course of the season. So yeah, coming on to the final lap, as you can see, I'm right with this guy, right behind him. I set a 1 minute 9 lap time, so much better again. And yeah, it was, considering how far back I was 2 laps ago, this was a pretty decent little fight back, I think. And you know, I was in 22nd place in the first couple of laps after a terrible start from being in the wrong place. I get a sneaky position here because someone must have either made a mistake or got taken out on the right there, so up in the 16th, and now I'm fighting for 15th place, which I actually qualified in 16th place. So this would better my position by 1 at least. It's been having to go all the way to the back to sort of bring it back up towards where I even qualified, but it's been quite an action-packed race. And yeah, this is kind of make or break. This last, you know, the hairpin down here, he's sort of checking me out, checking where I am. I just go for it, basically. I tried to dummy him a little bit to make him think that I was just going to take the normal line, and when he moved back over to the left, I went for the opportunity and it worked a treat. So I was really happy about that overtake right at the end. So again, you know, the racing instincts are still there. It's just going to be a case of tapping into it. So when it comes to race 2, we're going to sort of see some highlights of it. We're not going to watch it in full, but yeah, you start the second race in the position that you finished the first race, but I ended up losing a few positions off the start because there's certainly some quicker karts around me in terms of straight line speed, but I didn't make the same mistake as what I did in the first race. I'd already learned my lesson. I stuck to the inside as much as possible, which is something I always used to do, and I end up making a good 5 positions straight away from 17th to 12th just around the first couple of corners because they were all, you know, hitting each other on the outside. So I'm happy to take that, you know, I'll absolutely take that, and good that I managed to learn my lesson from the first race. And yeah, like I said before, you're seeing a sort of driver's eye view of this, even though the sort of field of view might not be quite as good as what you'd get from a GoPro on the top of the helmet. You're getting sort of as close to my experience of this as you possibly could. Maybe I can see a little bit further to the right and left, but not that much. And the position of the camera inside my visor is pretty much right above my eyes. So you're getting the full authentic experience with this one. But yeah, I think it's an interesting race, this one, because getting those positions early sort of set me up to be able to be fighting with the top 10. As you see here, I managed to get up into that 10th place, and I'm able to keep that position for a while. As we come to the end of the second lap here, I'm sort of battling again for more positions, but I'm also having to think about defending because there's quite a big pack. And I don't have the fastest kart in a straight line, I realise later on, but I'm able to sort of squeeze up the inside there, which is nice because again the karts get sort of split around, so and reversed actually. So the kart that won the previous race is at the back of the grid for the next one. So there's going to be a sort of variety of kart performances around. And you're going to have some people in quicker karts from behind and some people in slower karts in front. And it seems like the standard has gone up a little bit in terms of the lap times that people are able to set in comparison to sort of 2014, 2015. It seems like there's a lot of people who are closer on pace, so I'm going to have a little bit of a work on my hands to hopefully get back closer to the front. But it's been good so far. You know, I'm making positions but also having to think about not losing them. There's more argy-bargy going on here, so I'm able to they're still, you know, fighting it out, so I'm able to take 2 positions there on the inside. But then I end up losing a position on the inside of the last corner. It's one of those things. If you're offline a little bit, there's not an awful lot you can do. But there's 8th place, so I've gone from, you know, starting 15th to 8th, but also in the context of the previous race, I've gone from 22nd in the first race at one point all the way up to 8th place in this race. So it's been a good little comeback over the course of the 2 races, and we're not done yet. You know, we're on lap 5, and again there's more argy-bargy going on, so I'm able to sort of fight for position here, but I end up actually losing a place just because I was offline. And you know, if you've got someone close behind you like that, you can't sort of take the line that you want or try to make an overtake without thinking about, and the way that they pull away from me on the straights there as well is why I was kind of up against it in some ways. I'm being challenged on the inside there, but then there's a lot of crap going on in front with a guy going off the grass on the side. I'd narrowly miss him, but it was crazy, this race. It was absolutely action-packed. There was so much going on. So yeah, I'd lost a place into 9th, and then I gained it back again to get into 8th. I think I'm a little quicker on the straights than this guy in front, so I go for a move to the inside, and he does something a little bit naughty, I think, with being a little bit late with that, as he's sort of, I think he's remonstrating about the craziness that just happened, but he's not really sort of paying attention to what's going on. So I feel like I'm quicker and I want to get past, and I think I need to get past, so I kind of force my way through and spy a little opportunity up the inside here. A little bit rough, but got the job done. And as soon as I got past him, if you notice the lap times on the right, they get so much quicker. You know, I was doing 1:11s in that pack, and as soon as I get past him and into some clear air, I'm going a second per lap quicker. So it's getting that rust away, getting accessing that ability that I feel like I have, and that experience that I have. Speaking of experience, I made a mistake here by going a little too wide. I didn't realise he was so close to me, so I ended up going from 7th back down to 8th again. And 8th is where I end up finishing this race, because I try to stay with this guy in front, and I think I do relatively well, but he ends up just being a little bit too quick, I think, for at least me and my kart at this moment in time. So it was a fun round to do. I'm glad I went, before the first round of the season. We're gonna have next week the video showcasing the first round of this 2023 season. Obviously this was the last round in 2022, but again, it was more to sort of get myself back into it and get a bit of that rust off, and also test out the camera a little bit and see if it was even reasonable. If I'd tried the camera and it just wasn't worth it, you wouldn't have ever seen this video. Hopefully it's good enough for you guys. Obviously, let me know in the description all of your thoughts about it. What do you think? Are you happy that it's back? Is the camera good enough? Keep an eye out. Keep in mind that it's going to be 60 FPS next week, which is going to be even smoother. So I think, and also I'm looking into trying to just make it bounce a little bit less, also for future episodes as well. So give it a few episodes, I think, before you fully decide that you're never going to watch it again. But for me personally, I'm just so happy that this is back. I'm so happy that I can do some real life racing again, because I have missed it, and you don't realize how time flies. If you notice here, you can see how much quicker I am in some of the corners for this. So I feel like I should probably never have lost that 7th place if I'd had my wits about me. But yeah, I can't end up getting it to the line. But yeah, we'll see sort of what happens throughout the season. The 2014 and 2015 series were some of the best videos on my channel. If you want to pick one video to watch from the Real Life Racing series, I think the one that's titled Bouncing Back is one of the best. It was from the 2015 series, and it was one of those great races, one of those great rounds, and we used to do full races back then per round, shorter races obviously, but yeah. That'll pretty much do us for this one. I hope you're happy that it's back. I hope you're as happy as I am. Let me know all your thoughts about it being back in the comments. Just keep an eye out for next week, because we're going to have the first round of the 2023 season in that video as well. And yeah, just let me know what you think, because I'm happy it's back, but if you guys aren't enjoying watching it, then it's not going to be worth it. So let me know your thoughts, and like the video if you enjoyed it and all that kind of stuff. Thank you guys so much for all the continued support, and I'll see you next time.